about you guys, and I wanted to get everybody's opinion on this particular stream. I think it's a good discussion. Everybody can chime in. Once again, keep the comments respectful towards me and each other, or you will be immediately blocked, or I will have one of my moderators block you. But we gonna have a real discussion about this now. If you are a PBC extremist, then you might not want to continue listening to this video because I'm about to go hard in the paint. And I'm not trying to diss anybody. I don't mean for this for anybody to take offense to this, but we gonna have a real conversation. So if you don't want to hear what I have to say pertaining to Al Haymon, the PBC, and cross-promotional fights, I'm going to give you exactly 30 seconds. All right, you guys. So let's begin. Hey, appreciate you being here. So based off what happened earlier this morning, you got to ask yourself, is this the reason why Al Haymon don't like making cross and co-promotional fights? Because a lot of times, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of time when he sends his fighters over to fight on different promotional cards where the PBC isn't the main or lead promotional companies, well, bad things happen. And it's kind of funny when you look up Al Haymon's Wikipedia, Al Haymon is listed as a promoter. Now, if you want to throw your antennas up to that, whatever the case may be, maybe it's much to do about nothing. But if you look at history from, Sean Porter fighting on a top ranked card that featured Terrence Crawford, you look at what happened earlier this morning, you look at Charles Martin, and I mean Charles Martin losing to, Jared Anderson, and then losing to Anthony Joshua, and then just some other fights. You looking at like, okay, history is not on the side of the PBC. Now, keep in mind, Danny Garcia was offered $3 million. Now, that's funny. And this is the point that I was trying to make when I was trying to explain this to the PBC and Spencerholics, and some of the issues when I started to see that, Al Haymon and the PBC were playing political games and, playing politics. Like I said before, Danny Garcia was offered $3 million to fight Terrence Crawford, and he turned it down, or Al Haymon turned it down, because I guess they were scared that Terrence Crawford was going to annihilate Danny Garcia, which I think he would have. I think Terrence Crawford would have stopped Danny Garcia. And now you're thinking, okay, well, if Errol Spence loses on Saturday, then the PBC gonna be scrambling. But then again, not exactly, because they have the backup plan, which is Canelo Alvarez, which they got Canelo basically for three fights with an option for a fourth, depending on what happens and how much money they pay Canelo. So Canelo, to me, is the backup plan in case Errol Spence loses to Terrence Crawford on Saturday. And I've been seeing this for a while, but now it's starting to make sense why Al Haymon don't like doing these cross-promotional deals, because he is on the wrong side of history. Now, there's been discussions about a Tank and Monster Inoue fight, but You look, that fight would probably, I'm gonna be honest with you, best case scenario, that fight wouldn't take place till like 2025. You know, so I wouldn't even worry about that. And as I said before, they'll do it if they feel like, yeah, they'll make the fight if they feel like they fighter has a good chance of winning. But as you can see, they really don't like to take risks. And unfortunately, you look at the cross promotional fights with Wilder and Fury for two fights doing cross promotion. And I'm not trying to attack Wilder, so I don't want people sitting up saying that I was, you know what I'm saying, hating on Wilder and putting down Wilder. But at the end of results, no matter what happened or what you think Tyson Fury did, believe he did. I believe that Tyson Fury in both of those fights wasn't on the up and up. His gloves, that is, with Deontay Wilder, but nevertheless, he was allowed to get away with it. So you look at you look at those two cross promotional fights. Then, like I said, you look at some other fights. But the PBC is supposed to have this stellar roster, but then when they fight cross promotional fights, it seemed to me that a lot of the other fighters from the other promotional companies seem to get the best of those dudes. And I know somebody gonna make a video attacking me and calling me a sellout and all that kind of stuff because I'm hating on the black man and hating on the pro righteous power to the people Al Haymon, which by the way, Al Haymon ain't that guy, which I don't know how many times I gotta explain that to y'all. But this is just a real conversation. Hey, what's up? What's up, Vegas Mar? This is just a real conversation. Based off what keep happening and based off what happened this morning, Al Haymon is going to be even more hesitant to make cross-promotional fights. Listen, everybody with common sense, and I'm going to say this again, we all knew that Tank was going to beat Ryan Garcia. It wasn't without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody really believed that Ryan Garcia was going to win that fight. But yet, but allegedly he made more money than most of these PBC fighters that's loyal and dedicated to Al Haymon. So, yeah, he made that fight because he knew it would make a lot of money, which Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, according to reports based off the pay-per-view sales, did over 103 million in pay-per-view sales. So it was a success, and that's not including streaming. That's including the $85 they charge. And then keep in mind, if you add the taxes and stuff, the whatever your prospective state you living in, and then you gotta add the overseas sales, because keep in mind they don't charge the same overseas, and they don't count overseas pay-per-views alongside with the states. When they talk about one, they talking about the states. Just like, I'll give you an example. The reason why Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor was so lucrative in the States, it did around 4 million pay-per-views. But globally, they said it did around 6 million. So you add the money from the overseas pay-per-views. A lot of times they just don't add the global pay-per-views. They just basically saying what it did in the States. So in the States, Tank and Ryan Garcia generated around $103 million in pay-per-views. Because I don't know if you know, from what I heard, that Spencer Crawford is going to cost like $20 in the UK. It's not even going to cost that much, where we have to pay like pretty much $90 when you add tax and all that kind of stuff and service fees and stuff. So, but I'm just saying, the only way Al Haymon is going to make Tank versus Inoue, and if he does have plans on making that fight, I can tell you right now, if that's the overall goal, to make Tank versus Inoue, which, by the way, that would be a very lucrative fight for Tank Davis. If they can get that fight, now they might could get that fight at Allegiant Stadium. But, Inoue would have to go up, let me see. He would have to go up like either 2 or 3 weight classes to fight Tank, depending on where Tank is and what weight class Tank wants to campaign at. So you do have to admit, which I'm gonna do a solo video about that. Tank versus the Monster would be a very lucrative fight. Who would be the A side? Uh, in the States, you would have to say Tank would be the A side. And I think in this particular case, it would be no way that Al Haymon is going to let Tank go overseas and fight in Japan. That's a fight that could be made in the States. That's clearly a Las Vegas fight. And that would be a very lucrative fight for Tank. You talked about that fight internationally, that fight could possibly do, I hate to say it, and this is just real talk. That fight, based off Tank's popularity, Tank is what you call the funny thing about Tank, and forgive me for using these terms, Tank is hood famous, he's black famous, and then he's regular famous. So a fight like that with Inoue, that would be very lucrative. You talked about Tank could possibly make 40 to 50 million dollars off that fight. Maybe even more, depending on marketing and how they put this fight together, ticket sales, all that kind of stuff. So Tank could possibly make like anywhere from 40 to maybe 70 million dollars fighting Inoue. And it also comes down to what's going to be going on in the next 2 years. Yeah, I agree, Mark. He does. He's going to have to come back to the States. He's going to have to come back. Bob Arum is going to have to talk him into coming back into the States to fight now, because that's how you build up your. That's what he did with Manny Pacquiao. Now, as far as where Inoue is, like I said, as a fighter, yeah, I'll put him in the top 10, but number one pound for pound, absolutely not. It's too early. It's too early. Way too early. So if he's number one pound for pound based off his resume, then Terrence Crawford is definitely pound for pound currently. And if he wins on Saturday, then he should be the consensus pound for pound fighter. If Errol Spence win, he should be the consensus pound for pound fighter. And I understand what they try to do with the Monster, but to a certain degree, it's just not fair. It's that chocolate Tito thing again. But I think Inoue is a lot better than Chocolate Tito. I really got a chance to see his skill set, because sometimes you can't make a good assessment of how good somebody is over 2 rounds based off the fact he took Nonito Donaire out in 2 rounds. But this particular fight, you got to see his boxing skills. So you got to see you got to see more of IQ instead of his instincts. He beat Nonito Donaire with his instincts. Where this fight, you got to see his boxing IQ. His ring generalship, he used his brains. Can he think? Can he make adjustments? And he made adjustments. He passed the eye test to me. No, Tank ain't got to go. Tank ain't got to go to Japan. Tank is a proven commodity. He can sell tickets. So he doesn't have to. Tank doesn't have to go overseas. We understood why Fulton had to go overseas, even though he was the champ. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have a name. He wasn't out there like that, where everybody knows who Tank is. Even people that's like that don't follow boxing on a regular basis. I follow boxing on a regular basis. But there's people who are what you call casuals. They know who Tank is. So that's what I'm saying. Inoue is going to have to fight in the States. He's going to have to fight in the States. And what they need to do is set up a fight for him put him in Las Vegas. See how he does. See how he fares in Las Vegas. Put him at the MGM Grand Garden. Let him try to become undisputed. And then see what happens afterwards. But you do have to build him up fighting in the States because the monster still ain't international. Like he's well known in Japan. I'm saying what I'm saying is he's not what you call household name. He's not a word of mouth fighter yet. Have you heard of this? You know what I'm saying? He's not a word of mouth fighter, but like even the casuals still don't know who he is. But I guess this is what we doing now by building him up, but talking about him. But you have to talk about him because you have to give him credit for his performance. But no, Tank, absolutely not. Tank, absolutely not. Tank doesn't have to fight him in Japan. But as I was saying earlier, I can tell you Al Haymon ain't gonna let that happen. And I can tell you right now, Tank gonna flat out say, I'm not going to Japan to fight him. Tank is gonna be able to call as far as the negotiations go. Now that could be a problem. But Tank would be the A side, flat out. Without a shadow of a doubt, Tank is the A side in negotiations with Inoue. Anybody that tried to say different, you a damn lie, and you being an extremist and you being a super fanboy of the monster. Stop it. Tank is the A side. But I'm telling you, after what happened earlier this morning, I can tell you right now, Al Haymon is going to be real hesitant to make crossover fights. But he's always been like that. Well, Jose Ramirez told me that he's going to try to fight in Vegas more, you know. But the thing is with Jose Ramirez, when he fight in Fresno, he sell that joint out. I've been to the Save Mart Arena like several times. That boy sells tickets. That's one thing he do. He does. He can sell out an arena in Fresno. And I think that's why I told Bill, if they moved up to 140, which it looked like they're going to officially announce, you know, their move to 140 pretty soon, because it looks like they're done with 135. So I said if they were to fight Jose Ramirez, they should consider at going to Fresno and fighting him in Fresno, because that'll be a decent pay-per-view. And it'll be a nice fight. And like I said, the people from the Bay will come out to see Devin Haney, you know, because Fresno ain't that damn far. I mean, come on, if people traveled from Oakland to Vegas to see Devin Haney fight, which it should have been more people, you know, it should have been more of a pro Haney arena than it was Lomachenko. But I do think people will come from the Bay to see Devin Haney, because Fresno is about maybe 2 hours, and Fresno is about 2 hours and 40 minutes from Oakland. About 2 hours and, well, it's about 3 hours from San Francisco, depending on where you coming from, what part of San Francisco. So it ain't gonna be that hard of a drive. But I asked and suggested to, you know, Team Haney to consider that. And I think they should consider that somewhere down the line. Well, thank you, Anthony Ware. Well, there you have it. PBC is 4-21 versus damn. I might have to send this to Evan Korn. Well, there you have it. Oh my God. Enough said. Hey, Anthony, well, you just proved my point. You just dropped the mic. That's what you call a drop the mic moment. PBC is 4-21 versus damn. Wow. Listen, man, we all know that Paulie Malignaggi is a racist. I mean, he may talk to a couple of black people. He'll align himself, say, "Hey, oh, I got a couple of black friends." But listen, if we already expected this, we already knew people was going into that fight. You know, if you wasn't black, you was rooting for the monster. We already knew that. This is nothing out of the ordinary, and this is nothing to, be disappointed about because, like I said, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. Um, I've been doing this for a while, so I already noticed this. I already saw this. So, I mean, what do you? I mean, what do you expect? I mean, Paulie Malignaggi kept saying that the Eastern European fighter is taking over, and that proven not to be true. And then Paulie said that we just happy uh, that Lomachenko, the white fighter, lost to the black fighter. Yeah. I mean, listen, everybody that follows my channel knows that I'm black, but everybody knows that I'm fair when evaluating boxing talent. I'm fair. Um, I I didn't give a prediction about Fulton. Y'all know why I don't give predictions. I just like to talk about the fight. It's not that I'm scared to give a prediction, but I just rather break down the fight and talk about the fight. Um, the results didn't surprise me. I wasn't like in shock. I was not in shock. You have to take something into account, and this is just real talk. Why Inoue took his chances moving up in weight to fight somebody like Fulton. The man only has 8 knockouts. I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is just real talk. I did not. I didn't think Fulton was gonna win that fight, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get people upset. I didn't want to get the brothers upset, but I didn't think he was gonna win that fight. I was not surprised that he got knocked out. I wasn't surprised. I knew by possibly. I knew by the fourth round that he kind of was in survival mode because he wasn't engaging, and you could tell dude's power was like taking toll on him. Now, what I don't appreciate is this whole thing. Now, I never you can I never made this fight about race. I never said, oh, it's a Japanese versus a black dude. I never brought up the slick black fighter stuff. I just wanted to clearly watch this fight based on talent. Now, the stuff going into the fight with the gloves and all that other stuff, the gloves, um, the hand wraps and the random drug tested, that's the thing that I had a problem with. But the overall fight itself, that's what that's what I didn't want to do. And talking about that fight, you never heard me say the black fighter or the slick black fighter versus the Japanese fighter, because it was a fight, talent versus talent. And any news talent won today over Steve Fulton's talent. And that's just the bottom line. And people got to, people just got to accept it. And he knew he complied with the hand wraps. He wrapped his hand, and you know what I'm saying? I saw his hands getting wrapped. He didn't apply any tape to the skin. He put the gauze on. His wraps were legit. Can't say nothing about the hand wraps, so he complied. And I think that's the best thing to do. He was like, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll wrap my hands the way you want me to wrap them. And the end results wasn't the same. You know, wasn't in the end results, there was no difference. So he went in there and he stopped him. So you have to give the man his you got to give a man his just due, whether you like it or not. I don't think, I'm gonna be honest with you, he right now, based off what I see, eye test, He might be, and I hate to say this, he might be unbeatable from 22 to 26. I think 30 is some work up there, some work up there for him. 35 is some work up there for him, but I don't think I think 35, that's a different animal for him. You just got to keep it a buck. You just got to keep it a buck. Um, I don't see him beating Tank unless Tank just ages overnight or he just completely doesn't take care of himself. But at the end of the day, it'll be fun while it lasts. But I think Tank will destroy Inoue. I think Tank will knock Inoue out. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna care because the fight is gonna generate so much money. And then going into the fight, Inoue was a 4-1 favorite over Fulton. So people needed to take that into account too. He was a heavy favorite in that fight. Yeah, the Japanese, what they did was, they celebrated their guy, but for the most part, they handled the situation classy. No demeaning the dude. I mean, at the end of the day, what was there to do to Fulton? I mean, he already had gotten brutally knocked out, and he almost didn't make that. He almost didn't make the 10 count. It looked like he was gonna stay down, but he just decided to get up, and he was badly hurt. I mean, it's nothing you could do. It's nothing you could do. It's nothing he could do. He got beat. If Tank beats him, you listen. If people willing to give Canelo all the credit in the world for beating a dude, well, if he beats Jamel Charlo, who's coming up 2 weight classes, and they saying, hey, oh, when you got all these people trying to explain why this fight makes sense, it doesn't make sense any way, shape, or form. So if Tank beats him, then you got to give Tank his just due. I don't want to hear none of this stuff about that because you guys are giving Canelo versus Charlo a pass, so we have to give this fight a pass. But we all know the real reason why people gonna be so upset if Tank, batters and stops Inoue. Now, depending on what's going on with Inoue, and depending on how much more we see of him and what he does up and until he gets a fight with Tank. Now, if he goes up 2 weight classes and he beats Tank, then at the end of the day, then we gotta anoint him. We gotta anoint him possibly pound for pound best fighter on the planet, and that also comes down to what happens in the next couple of years with Jerron, because I think Jerron Ennis is going to have something to say. Then keep in mind, Shakur is still out there. Now, the funniest thing is, what's so funny? Why not put him in the ring with Shakur? That's an easy fight to make. Shakur would take that fight. Shakur would take that fight. But then it would come down to money. And unfortunately, Shakur would get overlooked. So that's what I'm saying. So if they had plans to make a Tank versus any new fight, I can tell you right now, they won't be no Shakur Stevenson Tank fight. I can tell you that right now. I know they want to make that fight, but they saying that fight ain't gonna happen. They say they're saying right now, if that's the case, the powers that be, they're not gonna let that fight. They're not gonna let that fight happen. Absolutely not, because it would be too risky of a fight. You don't want him going into a fight with Tank with a loss, because at the end of the day, you have to sell the fight. If Inoue is undefeated at the time and Tank is still undefeated, then, you talking about undefeated versus undefeated. You talking about a lot of hype surrounding this fight. And then you're going to have a lot of curiosity. So that's why I don't see, if this is the master plan, then I don't see that fight happening. The only way Al is gonna make that fight with Tank and Shakur and Devin Haney, if he unequivocally absolutely believe that Tank can win those fights, he's gonna beg Tank not to fight. He's gonna beg Tank not to fight somebody like Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson is too much of a risk, and Devin Haney is too much of a risk. At the end of the day, everybody keep thinking that Devin Haney is done or he got exposed versus Lomachenko and all that kind of stuff. Well, you can make an argument Lomachenko been getting exposed. So basically, Lomachenko, out of a 12-round fight, Lomachenko is only good for having two dominant rounds. But then the other 10 was life and death rounds, in which he, for the most part, got outboxed. You know, because it's looking, and then here's the thing, and it's looking like Devin Haney is going to take. I mean, excuse me, it's looking like Shakur Stevenson is going to fight Lomachenko. Now, if Lomachenko elects not to fight Shakur Stevenson, then maybe you could talk about a catchweight fight with Inoue and Lomachenko. And maybe, I don't know, maybe, but Lomachenko says he wants to stay at 135. You could do a catchweight, maybe. See, that's the thing. Inoue, to fight Lomachenko, he would have to, like, even if they tried to do 130, you talked about him like going up like 8 pounds, and then I don't think Lomachenko is gonna be willing to give up. So it would have to be some common ground. They would have to agree to meet maybe at a catch weight of maybe 128, where they get, so it could happen. But like I said, the Tank fight, that's somewhere like down the line. So like I said before, and then you have to wonder, what's Al Haymon's next move gonna be? Is Al Haymon gonna send, even if even though Frank Martin won an eliminator bout, once again it's gonna come down to, well, will Al Haymon make the call? I think it'll do good, but Inoue versus Tank, when talking about, here's the thing, you talking about 3 million pay-per-view buy versus 1.5. It's about economics. So that's why I'm saying they're not going to take that chance. I think at this point, I think Tank would. I mean, excuse me. I think Al Haymon would be willing to make Tank versus Lomachenko. I think he feels that Tank at this point he could beat Lomachenko. I think he. I think he would. I think he would be willing to make that fight. It might be a little bit of hesitation, but I think if Tank can control negotiations, if Tank is the complete A side, and if then Al will make that fight. But as far as Shakur Stevenson go, that's not a gimme. I think at this stage, many of us and most of us believe Tank knocks Lomachenko out. I think Tank brutally knocks Lomachenko out. I think Tank either knocks Lomachenko out with a body shot, or he just sleeps Lomachenko. Lomachenko walks into something, and since they both southpaws, it would be a lot easier for them to, you know what I'm saying, because southpaw versus orthodox is about angles and visions, where you're trying to look and see where the guy's punch is coming from. based off like how, stances and how you hold your gloves and all that kind of stuff. That's why it's difficult for sometimes Orthodox to fight Southpaws. But Tank versus Lomachenko, yeah, sign me up. Like I said, I think Bob Arum would be willing to make that fight because I think Bob Arum at the point where if it's profitable, if he could turn a profit, he can make some money. I think he'll do it. I don't think he's at the point where he don't want to make cross promotional fights. I think this is more about Al Heyman. And you gotta understand Al Heyman kind of like down to one network, which is Showtime Paramount. Well, to a certain degree, he has to make fights now. Where, yesteryear he could sit up there, hey, I'll take this dude here, I'll take him there, I'll take this fight to Fox versus, So now, based off the fact that Showtime just said, hey, you got to make some fights, man. Go take him over. I'm going to just take him over to Fox. And the same thing with Fox, he'd just be like, okay, I'm going to just take them over to Showtime Paramount. So that's what's going on. If Inoue fights in the States, it's gonna be Las Vegas. It's gonna be. Well, if you want to turn him into a international star, you have to let him fight in the States. You just can't sell a dude as an international star if he fighting in one place. You think Manny Pacquiao would have became Manny Pacquiao if he was fighting in the Philippines or just fighting overseas all the time? Manny Pacquiao towards the end of his career fought in a couple of different places other than the States, but Manny Pacquiao was built basically fighting in Las Vegas, fighting in Dallas. I don't think Manny Pacquiao, to my knowledge, had a fight in New York or at Madison Square Garden. That would take some searching to do, but his presence and his persona and his legacy was built off primarily those Las Vegas fights, and particularly the fights with Marquez. And we know the most infamous Marquez fight of them all when Manny Pacquiao got his lights put out. So there you have it. But Mark, he has to fight in the States. You can't sit up there and think everybody is going to jump on a plane and, go to Japan. I heard Japan is a beautiful place, but I heard it's one of the most cleanest places you ever see. And they're very technology efficient out there. But, however, if you trying to set up a big money fight with Tank Davis, you're gonna have to put him and display him in the States. So Mark's right about that. He's gonna have to fight in Vegas. He's gonna either fight in Vegas. He's gonna have to fight at Madison Square Garden. He's gonna have to fight in places like that. Now, Inoue, based off the fact he took minimal damage because he damn near didn't even get hit in the fight. And he took Fulton's best shots, so he didn't take much damage. So Inoue probably could get another fight in probably around. It's July right now. He probably could get another fight in around September. Nah, not September. Excuse me. He probably could get another fight in around November. And keep in mind he hadn't fought in a while anyway. So he probably could get another fight in around. Yeah, November. I wouldn't try to fight him October because, that's still 3 months. Guys like that, you kind of want them to December. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the plan, to try to get him a fight in New York. But just to test the waters, you can make him the main event, but, just stack the card. and put him at Madison Square Garden, see what his drawing power is at Madison Square Garden, or see what his drawing power is at, the MGM Grand. Top Rank, from my knowledge, I don't think they have a deal with the T-Mobile Arena, even though the T-Mobile Arena is all owned by MGM Grand property. Right, Mark? Don't MGM Grand Properties own T-Mobile, the Michelob Ultra Arena, and the MGM Grand Gardens? But Top Rank, like I said, I just don't think they have a deal in place to fight at T-Mobile. I don't think Top Rank has ever held a card at T-Mobile. Yeah, I don't think Top Rank ever held an event. I don't think they ever had an event at T-Mobile. And if they don't ever have an event at T-Mobile Arena, fine by me. Like I said, that is just the worst. That is just like the worst place ever to try to watch a fight. When I say it's terrible, it's terrible. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, you guys. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Got 41 minutes in. Be back with more later on. Out.